absolutely. And you know, it's a great protein replacement. And that was one of the things is it's not just a great grab and go snack, you know, to satisfy you and nourish you, but it actually replaces meat in any dish, you know, stroganoff. It's just amazing the things you can create with it.
You have more power over your health than what you've been told. This is the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast, and I'm your host, Maya Acosta. I'm passionate about finding healthy lifestyle solutions to support optimal human health. If you're willing to go with me, together we can discover how simple lifestyle choices can help improve our quality of life and increase longevity in a big way. Let's get started. What if you could still enjoy delicious and healthy beef jerky without the actual beef? Well, Brett Christoffel did just that. He is the owner and CEO of Yalls Foods, a plant-based company with 3 missions: to nourish their customers with tasty and enjoyable plant-based snacks, to save the lives of animals, and to place less of a burden on the earth. Brett is also located here in Dallas. As always, the full bio and links to each of my guests can be found on my podcast website. That's healthylifestylesolutions.org. I hope that you enjoy this episode. Welcome, Brett.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Yes, it's an honor for me to finally meet you. I am familiar with all Yalls Foods.
Okay.
And what about you, Fitz?
I'm not, but I'm very eager to find out about it.
Right? Well, I heard about you when you came up, and we can start from the beginning of your story, but I will say that this is the first time that I have sampled your product, and I don't know why that is. And then I went to my Facebook group and you know, my regular Facebook, and I just asked people, who should I interview next? Because I had mentioned that I'm now here at the studio, and they said, you have to interview Brett from all Yalls Foods.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
I was like, yay. So
That's
it was
great.
people who wanted to hear more about you. So let's start from the beginning, because you weren't always vegan and you didn't have this product. So let's hear from you. And how did you make this transition?
Let's see. Let's start, you know, grew up in a regular family. Every meal was meat centric, you know, whether it was meatloaf or chicken or any number of things. And I ate that way for a very long time, over 40 years. And I read 2 books that started everything to change, and that was The 1 Minute Cure and Medical Miracle. And in that, I realized that everything I had been taught about medicine, disease, genetics, healing, wellness, running for cures, everything else was garbage. Nothing was true. And so I started investigating, and I attended the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, got my board certification as an integrative health coach, and then wrote a book. I published a book, been 10 years ago. And you have to understand, I still ate meat and dairy all day long, but I knew that the most nourishing thing you could feed someone was raw plants. And yet I have this whole issue with food that's a whole other conversation, but it's getting better. And the thing is I opened a organic, raw, vegan juice and smoothie bar 10 years ago because I wanted to nourish people. And it was in a small town in Texas, and it lasted less than a year because it just didn't make sense. But I'm happy to say that the fried pie place that opened afterwards is still there 10 years later. But I got really good with the dehydrator. And after I published the book, in the book I had wrote about the elephant, gorilla, and the rhino, and how you have these massive creatures, and they don't eat Chick-fil-A or Whataburger, they just eat plants. And I thought, well, that's really weird. So I started doing some investigating. So published the book, was at the zoo 6 years ago next month. Don't hate, I was at the zoo. My wife got us tickets, okay. And I saw, the first thing I saw was a rhino, and I teared up. And I thought, well, that's odd. And then the gorilla, same thing. And then the elephants. And I just started bawling. My wife's like, what up? And I said, I'm done. I can't eat them anymore. It was like a veil lifted, and I realized that all animals are present and that we're all one. And it is weird. I know that to people that sounds, what? It's just the way it is. And from that moment forward, I stopped eating animals. And it was a progress to getting to veganism that took almost 2 years. But I can't begin to tell you how grateful that I am that I did it for so many reasons.
Yeah. It's sort of like you wake up from this kind of, I don't know if it's hypnotic state or just ignorance.
Cultural conditioning.
Thank you, and that's why you're the author, because you know how to say it, put it just right. But that is true that we wake up and we suddenly realize that we've been lied to about foods, and we were talking about that at some point as well. Fitz, that you wake up and you realize how your food is produced, and then when you make that association and you see the footage of the suffering, oh my God, it's torturous. It's like, and to know that all of us were we were animal
contributing to that.
We were contributing to that, and we didn't know. I mean, you think that it's the whole conditioning. It starts very early on in elementary school with the farm. You're looking at the cows, and you have all these stories.
The packaging too.
Yes, the packaging.
Like they try to portray it as if it's like harmless, that they're happy on the package, which is very weird to me now that I see it for what it is.
Yeah.
But it's totally the opposite, but they do a good job advertising.
That is true.
I'm with you on that. When I see packaging that contains the flesh of an animal and they've got a cute one on the front of it, I'm like, really?
He's really going to be smiling?
Really thought about this? Have you worked a kill room floor? Anyway.
So just briefly, you mentioned the zoo. So
yes.
There was a time I was an elementary school teacher, and we did the field trips, the annual trip to the zoo. And I wasn't even vegan then, but there's something internal within us, I think, that part of us that has compassion for all creatures, I think. But I remember feeling bothered, because to me, I saw them being enclosed and captured in captivity without any freedom for our, we exploit them just for our entertainment. So I think that maybe a lot of people feel that way, but we're just used to it being so normalized that it's like, well, that's what it is.
That's what they do.
So these two books that you mentioned, I've never heard of. So I'm probably going to go back and revisit them.
Please do. I mean, it'll open your eyes.
Did you you felt angry at the establishment?
Oh, of course. Yeah, because they're full of crap and they make a lot of money and they brutalize people and put them to death. It's usually not the disease, it's their cure.
Right.
Like Thomas Lodi says, he goes, I got an idea. You're really sick. Let me poison you. The fact is he says, there are no diseases. It's just the body out of balance. Let's say someone is normally healthy and they put on 30 pounds for whatever reason, and they start getting high blood pressure. Oh, we need to medicate you for that. No. That's the body's response to keep things at homeostasis. So this whole medication for symptoms is not where it's at. It's actually, what are you doing to yourself to create the disease? Stop feeding it. Detoxify and nourish yourself. I met a woman, Deanna 1, a physicist, so smarter than I'll ever be, a colonel in the U.S. Air Force. Stage 4 ovarian cancer, she was in hospice care. They gave her 4 weeks to live. They were about to up her morphine. And she realized some stuff. She's of Chinese descent, that her grandfather had told her about mushrooms. So she took that with a modified Gerson protocol, and it's 10 years later. And she shows people how to get their bodies to heal. It's not like anybody has a cure. It's about, look, you're creating this situation in your body. It didn't come from outer space, and it didn't come from your grandpa. And most people think it's genetic. So they're like, I'm at the mercy of this. No, you're not. It's what we do to ourselves, from the outside and the inside.
Yes. So that's interesting. So when we talk about Western medicine, because a lot of people think my husband got me on board in this way of living, when it was actually the other way around. I was very much into holistic medicine. I knew about the Gerson therapy way before I met him. I didn't have any extreme health conditions, but there was something, like, again, intuitively, you probably just know that certain foods can take care of you better than, say, relying on medications or other treatments. Although I don't discourage that either, because there is a place for Western medicine.
Sure, absolutely, especially trauma care.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And even my husband will tell you that. But I wasn't jumping up and down when I learned that he was a physician, like when we met. Like
right.
His beautiful energy attracted me to him.
Yeah.
And I was living in San Diego at the time. He was here in Dallas. And when I learned he was a physician... I was like my heart dropped. No, this is the establishment I've been fighting against all my life. And now that I've gotten to know him and I see how he saves lives, because he mainly saves the lives of people who have done these things to themselves as a result of what they eat and their lifestyle. And so now that's why it made sense for us to go this route of educating people. But for me, it's like I'm always going to work towards helping people get better. Now that we know this information, because we didn't know about the benefits of plant-based foods. So you talked about the dehydrator, and which I found fascinating because I bought a couple. I bought one specific one when I became vegan because I was like, oh, I need to make my own treats when I travel.
Yeah.
So tell us more then about all Yalls Foods, and that's kind of how
Sure.
it all came about.
Yeah, at the shop, I did a lot of energy bars and different things, and I started working with different plants and making kind of like a jerky. And then I realized especially after I became vegan, that this was something I wanted to do. What it was I'd looked at different foods that I could produce, and I read an article about that cows are our second largest export next to cotton. I'm a native Texan, and I got pissed. And I'm like, and I said to myself out loud, I'm like, are you going to be pissed or are you going to change it? I'm going to change it. And so I created 7 formulas. They're called formulas when you make big batches, recipes, to represent the 7 regions of Texas. And so came out with those 3 in May of 2018. And they started doing well. HEB here in Texas, very popular, wonderful group of people. They have their Quest for Texas Best. I did that in 2019, and granted, there are 20 finalists. So you're trying to get number 1 because there's money. Why not? And so I was going for first. I didn't get it. I came in 6th, but it was out of 830-something people that had applied. So I was like, that's pretty good. And we're in 150 other stores now and do very well. We exceeded 100% year over year this last year from the year before. And then in July of year before last, I think it was July, yes, of 20, we came out with it's big, crunchy, bacony bits, y'all. Oh. And it's my play on, one, I did it because I ate so much pork. I mean, honestly, this is my atonement. This is what I'm making up. And it took over a year to get the formula close, because you're never going to replicate burnt flesh, but you can come close. And so we have, and the neat thing about our products is, again, we like to delight our customers, but I know that when you eat it, it's nourishing you. Is it a kale salad? No, it's not a kale salad, but is it much closer to a kale salad than actual animal flesh? Oh my God, yes, because all beef is a class 1 or 2 carcinogen.
Yes.
So I feel good about nourishing the consumer. A portion from every sale goes to Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. I could talk about Rowdy Girl forever because it's a really great story. In fact, we're doing a volunteer day on the 12th of February. And so it's great to support their efforts. And they also have a rancher advocacy program. So they're actually working right now. I don't know what I can say about it, but they're working with a couple that have years had a chicken farm in Arkansas. And they went vegan and went, we're slaughtering how many chickens every 50-something days? No, we're done. Mm-hmm. They're turning it into a mushroom farm. And you'll learn more about it. It's coming out. There's all kinds of stuff. But the fact is they're up to really good things. They had the largest group of bovine in the state. That's why I chose to work with them. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a great situation to be in. To know that I'm, nourishing the consumer, supporting Rowdy Girl, and at the same time we use 1/13 the resources to make our product versus beef.
That's right. And so, Fitz, you're familiar with Rowdy Girl, right?
Not until now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I was thinking that maybe we could, touch on that a little bit. But before we do, can we sample some of these? And
only if you want to.
Snack and eat along the way. And by the way, so I would have thought this would have been your first product, the bacon bits, y'all, because that's like what people are craving, right? Bacon. I haven't had bacon in forever, but. So which one should we start with?
I would start with let's start with the teriyaki jerky.
Which one is this one?
No, this one. Right here.
Okay. Let's.
Do you want to? You got another one over there? You want to open that one?
Oh yeah. And I brought napkins, by the way, if you want to,
Thanks.
For whatever reason. So here we are, you guys. So this is, and as we're sampling them too, feel free to tell us about Be Veg Certified, because I was saying to you earlier before we started recording that I am an ethical vegan, and if I am buying processed foods or lightly processed foods, I still look at the ingredients because I don't want anything that has, sacrificed an animal, so no dairy, no butter, any of that. Even when I go out to eat, I make sure So what is B-Veg?
B-Veg is the only ISO certification, vegan certification in the world, and it's international. So it's actually backed by a lawyer who decided to define exactly what it means. They haven't done that in the plant-based space, but they have in the vegan space, and they're the only ones that actually do audits and everything else to ensure that everything is, above board, if you will.
Right. Okay, so here we are. Like we just opened it up, and how do people eat this one? Feel free to snack.
Just.
This is chewy, like soft and chewy. Different from because I had only sampled the bacon.
Okay. Yeah. No. That's definitely crispy, and these are more like jerky.
Is that really how jerky
So chewy.
tastes?
Jerky's usually a bit harder to chew because it's fibrous muscle, and this is just cooked and stirred soybeans.
This is very good. Your website has ideas on how you can incorporate these products into your recipes. There's like a very delicious sort of citrusy flavor. What is it that I'm tasting?
I've never had a
Oh,
prickly
it says
pear.
pear, the prickly pear.
Yeah,
Combination.
prickly pear is actually the fruit of the prickly pear cactus. The purple fruit, the tunas.
Yeah.
And we take those and put it in our marinade because it's a state plant of Texas.
Yes. I grew up in Arizona, and my father worked years ago in this factory that took the cactus and the pears and stuff and made jams.
Oh wow.
So I'm very familiar with prickly pear. Yes.
Nopales.
Yeah, nopales, and you grow up with that in the Mexican household.
Yeah.
I like that. So what's another one we can
Let's
try?
go to black pepper. The black pepper actually has no sugar added, and the other teriyaki and the chipotle do have cane sugar added, but it's less than 6 grams in the bag, whole bag. So our sodium levels and our sugar levels are low comparatively. And so for people who really don't want anything to do with sugar, there you go.
This I would put in a taco with some salsa and lettuce and everything, like a tortilla taco. That is so good. I really like this one.
It's
I
been
do
years
too.
since I've had jerky, and this is like the closest memory I have of it tasting like jerky.
Yeah, cool.
Really? Okay, cool. Like for me, it's all a new experience, but I love it.
Prickly pear chipotle.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you open that one.
Okay, sure.
So this is great. I'm so glad that we're sampling them. Okay, I'm going to sample it first before I ask my next question here.
Okay.
Oh, I love Chipotle.
Like that one too. It's a tie for me between this one and the black pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning towards. I like the kick of the black pepper.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This one, for some reason, what I had in mind is like a Buddha bowl with rice and beans. Put some of this in there with the toppings, like, again, the lettuce and the tomatoes or pico de gallo or anything like that. But
Absolutely.
Because you think of Mexican flavors because of the Chipotle, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great protein replacement. And that was one of the things is it's not just a great grab and go snack, to
Yes.
satisfy you and nourish you, but it actually replaces meat in any dish, stroganoff. It's just amazing the things you can create with it.
You have also said that this is not isolate. So a couple of things that I want to mention because people are afraid of soy, or anytime there's like an alternative vegan option, you hear, oh, it's not soy, is it? It's not tofu, is it? So a couple of things. This is non-GMO soy, and also it's not isolates.
No, this is a whole soybean. Crushed, cooked, extruded, dried, marinated, baked.
Yes, which makes it, like you said, a healthier option.
Yes,
Yeah.
miles away, because they use hexane, to create isolates. And hexane's a byproduct of gasoline, and if you drank it, it would poison you.
Wow.
But they use it in food production. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not my thing.
Okay.
And the thing about soy is there was one study done that people actually believe in that whole estrogen thing.
Yes.
And I was talking with someone just last night, I think, about this. And I'm like, if you really have a concern about avoiding estrogen, avoid the secretion of the mammary glands of a bovine because it has more estrogen than anything you'll run into all day. And soy has 0 estrogen. It's phytoestrogen. And soy, if you look at the peer-reviewed studies, not just some hippie making stuff up, you will see that it actually reduces rates of cancer and various issues for people who consume it. Because usually people who consume it know better.
Yes.
And so they eat better. And so I would just invite people to visit soy, because tofu, you can do so many things with it. In fact, I made a cheese sauce to make artichoke dip with it recently. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could use this instead of cashews, So it's great. There's just lots of options from plants that are awesome.
Right. Okay. Which one's the next one?
Bacon and bits.
Oh, right. That's definitely the one that you think of, in terms of this. It's the one that I thought would have been the first one you put together. I love the crunchiness of this one. Now, I'll be honest, I gave a little bit to my dog.
It's fine.
He loves it.
Yeah, that's good.
Super crunchy.
This is what someone told me they were going to put over their salad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Salad, baked potatoes on soup. I like to make BLTs with them. Peanut butter and banana and bacon. It's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just, again, more protein and flavor, and people like crunch.
I really like that one too. Very good.
Thank
Now,
you.
where is your product produced? Here in Texas?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so happy about that. That's wonderful. We mentioned earlier that all three of us were at the 2019 Texas Veggie Fair. We were all kind of playing a role, in terms of meeting the local community. And I'm assuming you were doing really well then. And what has happened with you in the last couple of years during this pandemic? Has the sales gone up? Where is your product found? You mentioned HEB.
Yeah, no, the sales have just continued to better than double year after year.
Yeah.
And so Amazon, our website, Veggie, Vegan Essentials, Walmart, we're on lots of websites. But in person, we're in about 300 doors right now, and that's from LA to Rhode Island. Wow. So you'll find us in LA at Bestie's Vegan Paradise. We're at the vegan market in and out in Las Vegas, and then just all across the country. And we continue to raise that number, of places we're going to be. And we're actually focused right now on a couple other channels where we're not, where they sell a lot of jerky, and we think, well, we should be there with them.
Speaking of channels, are you in any convenience stores or gas stations?
That's what we're doing right now.
Oh, okay.
We're working on that right now, because that's where the majority of the jerky is sold, is convenience stores.
Yes. Fast foods, like I think of hitting the road, and when we travel, my husband and I, we always stop at a particular big establishment.
Sure.
And there aren't a lot of options that are for us.
It's so tough.
No. And some of those popular places that you're talking about that you're not naming, you have to be very inexpensive to be in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or they're just doing their own brand.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No wonder you see the sticker on some of them.
Yes, and so so that would be great.
Yes.
But that's a marketing play for a larger company that they can actually maybe make no money or lose a little money and consider that a part of marketing. We're too small to do that yet.
Right.
Yeah, it's just really tough to find healthy options, especially if you're long driving.
Yep.
So this will be obviously a welcome addition to have there. And usually, I end up walking out with water and a banana or something like that. So if someone can get in there, and start to just open up the opportunities to start having more healthier organic options in convenience stores, I think it'd be such a great trend to start. I think because a lot, Texas is very expansive. We do a lot of long driving. I did back then as an audiovisual tech.
Oh, I bet.
And I just. I had to prepare. Just because there weren't any options every time we went for a gas stop. So
Sure.
Yeah. I agree. And so we have a camper van. My husband and I bought one last year. And so we're hitting the road because we need it, right? It's so stressful nowadays. And we stop at certain places. And again, not a lot of options, but our camper van does have a fridge. So I'm able to travel with food. But, my husband will get me a bag of chips because he knows I like chips. And I've said it, I'm not perfect. I have a weakness for salty things. But this right here, like this. And I love the branding too.
Thank you.
It looks very Texan. Who did the artwork for this product, for your brand?
A woman by the name of Trina that I met, and she just does exquisite work.
Yes. I think if I were to see this, I would not know it's vegan. It doesn't say vegan to me. And it's it says plant-based, but if I see it from a distance, I'm like, oh, jerky. Oh, nice. It looks like a great product. Yeah.
Well, and the thing in HEB, we're in the healthy living section on the gluten-free aisle. We're not with the regular jerky. and our bacony bits are in the same place. So we're excited to find out, how things play with others.
Yeah.
So we're working on that right now.
So the gluten-free is also a big plus.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Because there are more and more people who are like, well, if I can avoid it, why don't I?
That's right.
And it's like, okay. So we make sure that everything we get is, runs gluten-free.
I believe that I had mentioned that 90% of the consumers that buy your product actually still eat meat and dairy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Plant-Based Foods Association put out a study last year that 90% of the plant-based foods, again, not fruits and vegetables, but replacement products, are bought by people who are just checking it out, or buy it part-time, if you will.
I think the message is getting out that meat is just plain bad for us, isn't it?
It's bad for us, the animals, and the planet.
Right, exactly. Even though, despite the fact that there's a lot of misinformation, I think in general most people know, especially like I heard a conversation of someone saying once that we were talking about a vegan burger. And the individual was saying, okay, might still not be the healthiest, but I don't feel as bad as I do when I eat a regular hamburger. So just in general, people are understanding that we feel lethargic, we get constipated with animal-based foods. So there are a lot of things. And so most of the people that are eating this, then, they're just plain curious, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And the one thing that I like to point out to people who are adamant about meat is, I'm like, if meat is so amazing, if meat is just, it's so delicious, eat it without plants, minerals, or charring it.
Eat it raw.
Well, if you're a carnivore, you would eat it raw, right off the bone.
Right.
But I'm just saying that plants are what we're drawn to. We think it's meat. But if you think barbecue, you think about anything, it's the flavoring from plants that we put in it that we're drawn to.
Right.
And so what a lot of companies are doing is replicating the texture and chew and experience of the meat or the dairy. And, once that's completed, you got no reason not to. I mean, it's just so easy.
I heard Dr. Riz say that, eating meat is basically eating, a candied meat. We're just putting flavor on the meat. So we're just, eating candied plants now.
Yes.
So, just make it delicious, like we do with meat, right?
Absolutely.
And you don't feel like you're missing out anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't. In the beginning, it was touch and go, because I'm like, well, this isn't really good. But you have to realize that the brain is kind of compensates. Is it going to be exactly like the piece or whatever that you grew up that came from an animal? No. But will it taste really close and really good, and the chew or experience of consuming it be similar or very much the same? Yes. So, it hits what we really care about. It's just that most people are like, well, I got to have meat, got to have dairy. I'm like, no, you really don't. That's not true.
There's that broadcaster voice in you. That just came out. So tell us how you partnered with Rowdy Girl, and explain, my listeners may not even know who Rowdy Girl is, but she's a Texan, and I learned about her through, I don't know which documentary, a few years ago. And I want to say that even on your website, when you tell your story, you were looking for a sanctuary to support.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I decided what I was going to do, and that I was going to do jerky, I wanted to find the sanctuary with the largest head of cattle, and I looked around and Rowdy Girl was it. And then I talked with Renee, and the story of Rowdy Girl, if you're not familiar, and they're on the interweb and stuff, you can find them, is, her husband, Tommy Sonnen, nice guy, real nice guy, grew up on cattle farm and was a cattle rancher, and she married him and divorced him, remarried him, and realized one day that the cows, when they take the red trailer back with all the calves, all the moms would call out to the babies, and the babies would call them. And finally, she said, "You're not taking them anymore." He's going, "Well, I'm not vegan. I'm not going to, nothing's going to change." And she said, "I'll buy them." He said, "Well, I forget if he gave her a deadline and how much time or whatever." She raised the money and she bought the herd and started the sanctuary. Wow. And he's vegan now too, and they do a lot of great things. They've got, I'm going to guess today, if I had to guess, over 130 animals there. There's goats, there's chickens, there's beautiful pigs, and they're so cute. And pigs love belly rubs. Why? Don't eat their belly. Give them a belly rub. It's a lot more fun. And So they care for their animals, and they have a rancher advocacy program, which helps people transition from animal agriculture to plant agriculture. A lot of more information. This year, everyone is gonna hear about Rowdy Girl for a lot of different reasons, and it's just exciting to be a part of something because every bag sold, a portion of the sale goes to them, and we've been doing that for almost 4 years now.
Every bag that you sell of this goes
A
to
portion
support
from
those
it.
animals
Yes.
that have been rescued from
Yes.
slaughter.
Yeah, and they also do outreach programs and so on. So it's a really cool deal. And I just knew that I had to do that in establishing this company because it made sense to support someone who's up to the same things, even though it looks different.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. What do you think, Fitz?
You touched my heart. Like, yeah. Well, yeah, it's feeling good about supporting a cause when you buy your product. I mean, it's like a win-win-win-win situation.
Yes.
So it's more to it than just flavor now to me and taste. Even though like that's still important, I still want to enjoy eating too. But now that I'm more aware or aware of where the dollar is going, following the dollar, yeah, it's a worthy cause to stand behind.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is. And one thing, if I can add, a lot of people in the world, if you sat with them alone and you ask them, what's kind of more what you want in your life, your experience of life. And a lot of them are going to say maybe a little more peace, a little more kindness. And I'm like, if you're not experiencing that, take a look at your plate. If you're supporting brutality and violence and death by what you choose to eat, that's your right. That's absolutely your right. But if you want to feel more peaceful, like in that video, stop eating them. Stop paying for them to be bred and live a brutal existence and then die. And the thing is what's so odd is that in consuming them, we're killing ourselves. It was not genetics. It's coming, and it's proven time and again. And I just watched What the Health the other day. Kip and I are on a board together now. So, the fact is 40% of all, whether it's heart disease, cancer, diabetes, has been tied to animal protein. And I don't know where the 40% came in, so I want to scratch that. But as it turns out, they're the largest contributor. Animal protein is the largest contributor to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and you can easily take that out of your life today.
Yeah.
When you're ready. Or at least, what I tell people is at least try something. And one of the things that is helpful is called crowding out, is where, let's say you're going to eat a burger and fries. Okay, whether that's plant-based or you're animal-based, but add a small salad and have that salad first. And after a while, your body will begin to crave, again, raw, living plants. That's my tip of the week. Thanks.
I love that. So let's talk about, two things, and, Rowdy Girl and what she's doing. So I want to talk about resources and land use and deforestation, because we always go back to the fact that people are not informed. And when they are informed, then they know they can make a choice. So that we know that the largest contributor to deforestation, especially of the Amazon, is land that is used for grazing cattle.
Yes, the crops that feed the animals.
Yes, I'm glad that you brought that up because, I've heard myths and people saying that, no, it's the vegans and all the plants that we're growing, we're taking over the land, but that is not true. So what Rowdy Girl then does is they take people, and I'm the kind of person that I like to have compassion for people. Many of these ranchers, that's all they know. They grew up. The farms or the ranches are passed on from family to family, and are down the line. And so that's how they know to survive. That's how they know to make a living. So what Rowdy Girl is doing is teaching them that there's another crop or another product that is very beneficial, like the mushrooms. I didn't know about the mushrooms.
You'll hear more about it in coming months. I can only say so much, but it's exciting
to go
from a chicken farm where you're slaughtering tens of thousands of chickens every 2 months to growing mushrooms. And you make more money, and you're not under contract with a large poultry company. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
So I wanted to talk about your resources, just going back to because it seems like you are one of those companies that's socially responsible when it comes to what you're contributing to the environment and in building your products. So you use, I think it was 1/13 of resources.
Yeah, that includes land, fuel, and water.
It seems like you're doing well. In terms of Amazon, tell us how you did on Amazon last year.
We just keep doubling our sales, and we have it costs a lot of money to sell on Amazon because they get to make a lot of money, and that they have 100 million customers, or maybe it's 150 million now. I don't know. But I was reluctant. The first year I was in business, I wouldn't get on Amazon. I'm like, I'm not going to pay them that much. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute. This makes sense. And so, we do a little bit of advertising on there as well, and it's the ROAS, return on ad spend, is amazing. And it's just part of the business. The pieces I don't like about it. There's other aspects of it. I don't care for. But again, it's not my company. I don't get to say. Right. So I just go with how it is.
Do they ship everywhere? Because I'm thinking and when I look at my statistics of who listens to our show, of course, here in the States, we have listeners in Canada, Australia, and the UK. Those are our main places where people listen. Yeah. So is your product shipped?
No, we do not ship out of the country. We can ship to Hawaii. We can ship to Alaska. But as far as Canada or the Bahamas or Europe, no. Is that something we're going to do? Absolutely, because we're on track to be a $200 million company or better.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're gonna be really everywhere.
Yeah. I was gonna say otherwise people are missing out. Or I have to ship something to my Canadian friend there. So.
There you go.
Yeah, this is so cool. I thought I had a couple of other questions. I don't know if so I want to mention, before we started recording, we watched a video that you produced.
Oh, yeah.
You have this sort of very interesting background. You have a background in broadcasting. You produced this film. You're an author. Well, I say film, but the video that we're going to talk about, you're an author. You're so well-spoken, and you're very opinionated, but with a witty, kind of fun, playful, sarcastic way, which I think helps to ease some of the tension of what. So we just watched a video, and I'll put a link on the show notes of Damn, It Feels Good to Be a Vegan.
And it does.
How did that collaboration come about?
I always loved the movie Office Space. I mean, it's something to put in and watch every once in a while. Again, it was filmed in Dallas as part of my time, in business and hating being in an office and the cubicle and all that other garbage and ineffective management. Not that they exist, but and so, the Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangsta is a great anthem song. It's been very popular for a very long time. It's not something you want to sing in church, but I decided to change it because it made sense that Damn It Feels Good to Be a Vegan. And so I wrote the lyrics, and I reached out to Courtney McCullough, who runs Sprinkles Creative. I think y'all probably know her. And I said, I'd like to do this video. Who do you suggest? Who do you know? And then she, said, well, how about Gabrielle and Ace? And then, and I knew personally Aaron from El Pelote, and I said, great, let's do it. And so John Francis, his company, shot it, and we recorded it at a studio in Denton, and then they put it together, and there you have it.
Wow. Impressive. Very entertaining, too. And the people that you named are all local vegan game changers. I like to give them that title, like the game changers of Dallas. So it was really highlighting. And that's what I was saying. I felt that before the pandemic, there was this beautiful momentum building up of so many people coming from right and left saying, I'm vegan, too. I'm plant-based. And, and restaurants were opening and all of that. So I did say earlier, before I think we started recording, that I feel like all of that came to a halt. And but you're saying you're very optimistic. You feel like,
of course I am.
Like there's
Doesn't
even
cost
more
extra. Well, no, the fact is that more people are aware of veganism and eating plants as food, a complete food, than ever before. And the momentum, there were some people that got displaced, through the pandemic, that lost businesses or their businesses opened and failed, and take nothing away from them, and how painful and difficult that can all be. The fact is the industry is growing and bigger than ever, and we're looking at a $8 billion industry right now that's going to be 10 times that in 6 years.
Wow.
So, we're going the way of the plant. Fight us,
right,
or come along, but at least try. Meatless Monday. The first time I heard about Meatless Monday, I laughed out loud because I was like, I can't even think of a meatless snack. Meatless Monday, and I tried a meal. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm still full. I don't need to go get a hamburger or taco or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just would encourage people to try, next time they have a chance, try a plant-based meal.
Yes.
And just sit with it. It's very satisfying because all the protein you need, depending on what you eat, is there.
That is true. I mean, I don't crave meat, but I know a couple of people that tell me from time to time, that smells good. Do you crave it? Like if we're walking near a restaurant or a stand or whatever,
Yep.
and it's like, well, I don't. But I don't take away from, because that's how we were conditioned to like certain smells.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. I had someone in my Facebook group that said to me when in the group said, I still like meat. Please don't kick me out. And it's like, no. Our goal is to support you as you eat more plants, and you'll make the decision fully when you're ready.
Sure.
We're not in the business of trying to shame or convince people.
Right.
We're here to support you.
Yeah.
And so same thing. Our goal is to, you don't need our help on the podcast. You're doing very well. But for me, I'd love for my listeners to know about what you're doing, the great things that you're doing here in Texas.
Thanks. And the great news is if someone comes at it because they're like, really, I want to live longer and not be sick and on medications, let me stop doing meat and dairy. Or they're like, I really love the planet, and so I'm going to buy a Prius. Prius doesn't do it. Prius doesn't do it. It's not cutting it. It's meat and dairy. Or they're coming at it because they realize they have a heart for animals. And, we turn a blind eye in a very big way to all of that. And we're killing 100,000 every minute of every day. 100,000 at least. It's crazy.
There's that staggering statistic, right? That the animal industry is the number one emitter of carbon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Over transportation.
Yeah. 60% of all pharmacological things that are made are for animals. Because, animals weren't designed to live in large groups. They just weren't. And so, it's just, there's so many reasons, not to try it. Just check out plants.
The one topic I think we're kind of alluding to as far as like the mindset of making a vegan choice, which is we're simply in a position now where it's just not necessary to have meat.
No, and there was a time where it was. And if you live up in the great north in the snow, I don't think you have a greenhouse. You're going to have to eat animals, But here in civilization today, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's just not a necessary evil anymore.
That's right. And actually, as you're saying that, I'm looking at a quote that you have on your website. And you say, views are shifting. I'm confident there'll come a time when people will look back and ask, did we really eat animals? And it'll seem so bizarre. It's so true.
Yep.
Even in my life right now, it's like, really? Well, I mainly ate shrimp and
She was a shrimp eater.
Yeah. I didn't eat meat, but it doesn't matter. I was contributing to all of it.
Right, yeah. And I found out one thing that turned me off of shrimp was I learned that they waste on average up to 20 pounds of other fish to get a pound of Gulf shrimp. And I'm like, in whose mind is that logical?
Yeah.
Just from a value perspective on life.
Yeah.
Even though it's not my neighbor or someone I know or care about, it's still a life.
That's true. I from years of being mainly more of a pescatarian, I ended up having mercury poisoning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and my biological dentist was the one that diagnosed me. She did the hair, blood, urine analysis and everything, or drew the labs for that. And I was...
You didn't have amalgam fillings?
I had those too.
Okay.
So I had a combination of inorganic and organic mercury in my system that probably triggered my hypothyroidism. But going from a level of toxicity or whatever, it can be detected in the body from 0 to like 100. I was like over 100, like like 150.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, no wonder I feel like crap. And so once I started eating plant-based foods, I helped my body detox, because you have to detox it. They do chelation, but I didn't want to do anything aggressive because I was afraid.
There was no need to.
Right. The body can heal itself when you give it an opportunity.
You cut your finger,
right?
what does it do? It heals.
That's right.
It's resilient.
Yeah, it is resilient. So, I mean, I have enough reasons now not to eat animals. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners? You're such a fascinating person. There's so much.
The only thing that comes to mind is that I've read 2 books recently that have just impacted my life in such a major way. And one is The Untethered Soul, and the other is The Power of Now.
Yes.
And so if people are like, well, you got any advice? Yeah. Read those 2 books and see if it doesn't make your life better.
Oh.
I just want to make things better, for animals. People, well, compared to animals, I mean, we do so many things to ourselves. I'm not talking about kids or the elderly or, challenged. I'm just, anyway.
Reading those 2 books will be transformational because it allows us to look within. I'm familiar with both titles, and Fitz probably is too. But
Eckhart
just
Tolle.
kind of, it's personal reflection, looking within.
And it's just about being present and not living in the past or worried about the future. It's just about enjoying now.
Yeah.
Because we have so little control over the world. We like to think we do. We really don't.
Right.
And this is a way to live within it in a much more peaceful, enjoyable way.
Yeah.
Oh, and stop eating animals.
Oh, and one more thing, because you mentioned your book,
Yes.
just so our listeners, and I'll put the link as well. I'm sure people can find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And-
I need to update it.
Oh,
Because at the time, I was questioning soy in my book, but in the end, it really points to a vegan diet. Okay. But it's called Nutritional Truths, and I did a blog as well, so people can find a lot of information. Again, information that I learned. I'm not telling anyone what to do. It's just, look, I learned this. I didn't know this. Hey, you should know this. And then what you do with it is your business.
Right. Is there another book in the works, like something about Yalls Foods, like a story about that?
No. I'm actually working on a book, like a Coat of Many Animals. Dolly Parton sang a song, Coat of Many Colors. Well, it's about the animals, and it's about my weight and the fact that I put all this weight on when I was eating animals. So I wear this coat of animals. I've dropped nearly 100 pounds, and I've got a ways to go. But the fact is I still wear this, and so that's the only thing that I've been working on.
That's a beautiful
for
song.
In the future. It's just about the fact that it's something that I did to myself because I have a very odd relationship with food, like many people do. Yeah. It's just that, if you're an overeater, it's not real secret. It's not a secret. As much as I might like it to be. But today, gratefully, I get to work a spiritual program that helps make all the difference with this. And so, that's something that I'm working on for a later date.
I think it's a beautiful metaphor that you say that you wear a coat, because to me, when I hear that, it's like what we're wearing is like this representation of this vessel that we possess. And so it is it's a representation in how our value system, and it shows. And then you're talking about how you're in the transition process, that you've lost 100 pounds. And you're fully aware of this coat that you're wearing, that you're going to continue to nurture.
Yeah.
So it's having that awareness about what this body represents.
Yeah. I'm working on going from a very large down jacket to a light windbreaker. Oh. So, awesome. So to speak.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Because, I talk about this on my podcast too. I had an eating disorder in high school, and which is how I took a nutrition class in college, learned about the meat, stopped eating meat then. But I find when people come on the show and talk about, it's like more and more women are starting to talk about how they suffered with anorexia or bulimia.
Good.
And it's becoming like, but then we're older, so we're past it, so it's easier. But I still check myself because I realized that for me, I used to numb my pain by starving.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
restricting.
I would restrict, and even more when I was angry at my parents and everyone would sit down to eat, I would purposely starve myself to the point where they would come and, please eat something. No, It was my way of controlling, getting attention, and numbing the pain that I had from growing up in childhood and all that. So I think many people have eating disorders or issues with food, and it's just so part of who we are that we just don't really talk about it. It's like, okay, whatever. But I had to learn how to.
Plus, my experience has been there's a lot of shame around eating disorders, no matter which one it is. And there are solutions. That's the good news.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I want to say that plant-based foods actually helped me even more because when I was younger, I didn't want to learn how to cook because I was afraid of gaining weight.
Okay.
And when I say that now, I say it from the perspective of that young girl that grew up with that I'm going to be shamed, like my family is being shamed. Like there's a lot of diabetes now in my family, but a lot of shaming about the weight gain that was happening. So I was afraid, right? So you go to the extreme. And then now plant-based foods have given me this liberation because I really feel like they're living foods. Like I feel like Mother Earth has like given us her food and nourishing us. Here it goes, my baby's here. I have the food for you. So I have more peace about food now. And I try not to be judgmental about myself because I think it's something that you probably, like when you're in recovery, you're always going to have that there, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, Brett, it's been wonderful to get to know you. I can't believe it took me this long to actually have a conversation with you, especially since we've sort of been in the same circles.
Sure. Better late than never.
Yeah, there you go. Well, good luck to you on everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
We'll make sure to include all your links in the show notes.
Okay,
and
cool.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you at a future event.
That sounds wonderful. I appreciate what y'all do, and thanks for including me in today's show.
It was wonderful. And as always, Fitz, thank you so much also. We're here in the Hello Studio space where we will continue, when you see me here, hopefully I'm highlighting more Dallas game changers in the plant-based world.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast with your host, Maya Acosta. If you've enjoyed this podcast, do us a favor and share with one friend who can benefit from this episode. Feel free to leave us an honest review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us to spread our message. You can also head on over to podinbox.com/HLS to leave me a voicemail. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you for listening.